right. You ready?
Okay.
We're doing it.
We're doing it.
Woo!
Well, welcome to our conversation. Our real talk.
Real talk.
Um,
Welcome all of our listeners. By that I mean Mom.
Rudy.
Your mom. No, just kidding.
Yeah. We are so glad you guys are here. You guys could listen to us talk all the time, but you get to be here. No, but seriously, for all of you out there listening or taking the time to look at anything that either one of us put out into the world on a regular basis, we appreciate you so much. And it's truly incredible that moving into our 30s, we are, like we're turning, we both have turned 30, and we're reinventing ourselves. And it's just like crazy. It's crazy powerful. It's crazy awesome, but it's also crazy scary.
Very scary. We're doing scary things.
Yes.
Embracing scary things.
Yeah.
And I love that. Embracing hard things.
Yeah. I love it too. So, for those of you who don't know who we are and you've come across this and you're like, what is happening?
Why am I listening to this?
I am Paige, and I am a hairdresser by trade, but I also have a blog that I started it's probably been like 6 years ago now that I originally started it, and it was called Wine Like a Mother, and then transitioned into healing spaces about 2 years ago. And so it has definitely been a life-changing experience, and I'm so grateful for the journey.
And studying.
Yes, and I am studying to become a certified mystic astrologer. So I am also in the pursuit of another dream at the same time.
Exciting.
So it's very exciting stuff.
I love it. And I'm Kristie, creator of A Strong Soul Wellness, women's health and wellness coach. And I started just in fitness. I got certified 2016, which is kind of crazy. Yeah. I fell in love with fitness very quickly for like mental health, which we'll get all into that. And immediately I was like, I got to help women do this. And loved strength training, loved building muscle. But over the years, my journey changed. My health journey changed, and I kind of started my inner journey. And so I transitioned my fitness business to, it was KT Fitness. I switched it to A Strong Soul Wellness, where we nurture your mind, body, and soul to live a healthier and fuller life. And so what used to just be the physical is now a whole lifestyle, mind, body, and soul, working on healing and getting fit at the same time.
I would also like to say she's killing it, and the fact that she's become extremely tech savvy is very fortunate for me, because not so much. Just would like to say, that is a talent all in itself.
I feel like you're the only person that probably thinks I'm tech savvy. Not to make you feel bad, but...
Well, compared to me, I'm like a 95-year-old grandmother.
No, you do a good job.
But yeah, I think that we both have taken trajectories in our life that are very different than what we ever would have expected.
Oh, yeah. Like, I think it's hilarious because nobody that knew me in high school would have ever thought that I would be a women's health and wellness coach. That was never, I think I had Mountain Dew in my sippy cup. Like, legitimately, it was actually probably Coke or Mountain Dew in my sippy cup. Health was not ever something that I ever thought I would be doing, but I fell in love with it, and I knew I had to bring it to women. And I guess I had transitioned. I had a blog, A Strong Soul, and then added A Strong Soul Wellness, and just changed it into a whole mind, body lifestyle, because you can't just be healthy by working on the physical side. It has to be the nurturing of your whole being.
Yeah, for sure. And I never would have imagined my life course going in the direction that it has. And yeah, on the precipice of becoming an astrologer and writing on a regular basis, big dreams to be an author someday. And so seeing how that has transpired in our lives and in our conversations, we have grown up together.
Yes.
We started out as childhood friends, and over the last 15 years, it has grown definitely to a much deeper soul connection. And I think that it has such a testament to the growth that we've done individually.
Yes, absolutely.
Because we wouldn't have the connections with each other or with the other women in our life if it wasn't for the internal work that we have done. And so that is such a big part of what I write about on my blog or what you do working with your one-on-one clients.
Yeah.
And what you put out into the world,
Yeah.
you know, what we both, the vulnerability that we put out there. And so as our relationship has transpired and our friendship has transpired, our connection and our bond, it really brings us, I guess, to what's our why and why we're here talking with all of you.
Which is, just super exciting.
Yeah.
So I'll start off with kind of the conversation of how it started. Really, this has been a work in progress for like 2 weeks. But realistically,
we both Aries suns here, so we're like anybody who knows like anything about astrology, it's like, all right, initiation, we got this. Now hit us up in 3 months, and we'll be like,
no.
I'm just kidding.
We're sitting here. So I say 2 weeks, but really, like it's like a 15-year. Like this is like a full circle moment. But so a couple weeks ago, Paige came over to my house for a lunch date because we hadn't seen each other in a week or so, or 2 weeks, or I don't know. And we were just sitting around the kitchen table, which like I feel like we have such great conversations, and that's why I'm so excited to introduce like women into our conversations, because a lot of women don't have other people to have these like positive, uplifting conversations, because you inspire me and like you help me with my business, and so anyway,
and vice versa. I mean, we offer that to each other, but it's also we get into the real shit.
Yeah.
Like, we get into the real shit. It's not just like, oh yeah, this is great and this is great and I'm so happy and everything is working well. It's like very vulnerable and real and uplifting in the way of like, I'm going to hold space for you.
Yeah.
You're going to hold space for me. And we've created an authentic safety there.
Yeah.
And so anything that we bring to that space, even if it's just on a random Thursday conversation, and hopefully what we want to bring to all of you is that it's okay to let people see what's going on inside.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so this conversation.
Yeah. So I was asking Paige just like some feedback, and like, you know, our conversations, when we're seeking feedback, we now are seeking for you to be like, oh yeah, like you're doing great.
I agree with everything I say. Tell me I'm wonderful.
Yeah. I was like, you know, I was struggling a little bit because my title is women's health and fitness coach. And I was just kind of struggling with my identity. I do so much more than fitness. It's, you know, it's the mind, body, and soul. It's the lifestyle. So I was like, I'm not sure. I'm feeling a little bit of identity crisis. And she very gently and beautifully said, you know, because I was talking to her about marketing, and she said, your one-on-one clients connect with you because they get you vulnerable. They get you in your vulnerability. Like in your one-on-one conversations, when you're just with them on Zoom, they see you and your vulnerability. And she's like, I'm not saying you don't do that online, but I'm saying maybe there's room for more of that. And it's like, and I know that, you know, like, I knew that is, so vulnerability has always been very scary for me. That's just one of the fears that I have, and fears of doing this, because for me, I've always associated that word with weakness. So that is like my own, you know, kind of barrier that I have struggled with. And so we had this really great conversation. She was kind of giving me like just like feedback and ideas. And so I was like thinking of that for a couple of days, I think, or maybe like 2 days. I don't know.
Yeah,
I remember I was
pretty quick.
Yeah, I was at the gym and I was just like, so how can I be more vulnerable? How can I show people like that other side of me that's vulnerable and just real and authentic? And I was just like, real talk. And it just like, so my brain just kind of explodes sometimes. And I texted her immediately. So I'm like in the middle of my workout. And I texted you and I'm like, I have a great idea, but I need you to keep my Aries in check. And she's like, got it. Like, got it. Like, accepted.
My Virgo moon and rising is going to roll right in here and make us a checklist.
Yes. I need not. Yeah, that's what I need. And I'm like, and I was like, to be more vulnerable, I'm like thinking of like these Friday conversations, mocktails, real talk, like real conversations, vulnerability for women. I forget exactly how I said it. And she's like, I love it. And it was like, we have to do this.
Yeah.
I was just like,
yes,
we need to collaborate. Like, we need to do this. This is, and fast forward 2 weeks.
Here we are. And yeah, it just like when she approached me with this idea, it felt instantly so powerful inside of me, inside of my chest. Like I literally remember feeling like my heart expand.
Yeah.
And I think I might even text you that. Like I just felt my heart grow 3 sizes.
I don't know because I think I left the gym in the middle of my workout. I probably could have left my shoes at the gym because I literally was like, okay, here's my big idea. We're going to do this every Friday. We're going to do this on Instagram Live, da-da-da-da-da. And that's just like, that's why I said, I need you to keep my Aries in check.
Yeah. And so then we had some really good grounded conversation about it, of the logistics and what we can do to show up in this space and not burn out quickly.
Yes.
Because with the fire, you know, it can burn and blaze really fast, but then it can go out really quickly. And this is something that we want to be able to maintain so that we can continue on the path of growth and healing, and for each other, for ourselves, and with all of you. And so, yeah, it was so exciting when she presented this to me because it was like this full circle moment. I legitimately put pictures of like a podcast setup on my vision board at the beginning of this year. And so as this, you know, this idea came about so organically, it just felt so powerful and it felt so right and it felt so comfortable and it felt so safe. And I think that that's what's so important, is to have these conversations and have those feelings inside, because then you can show up and be real.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so for us, we got into talking more about the things that we wanted to communicate about because of this conversation that we had sitting around your kitchen table.
Of being vulnerable.
Of being vulnerable and communicating, as she was communicating about these insecurities or, you know, uncertainty she was having with her business. I presented some insecurities and vulnerabilities that I've been having internally with myself and my body, and things that I had been struggling with for majority of my life, but had never even shared with the person, you know, who knows me the best, like how deeply rooted they were and how much they were affecting my mental health.
Yeah.
And so as we started going back and forth, it just felt so important to be able to share more.
Yeah.
And to be able to express the fact that it doesn't matter how old you are, you always, like, there's always something that you're healing and that you're going through and that you might be suffering in silence about. And so with that, being able to bring these conversations and start these conversations in the forefront, no matter what anybody out there listening does with them,
felt important.
Yeah, it just felt so important.
Yeah. because we interact with women daily, you know, in our lives and our careers, and they're not super different really, like industries, you know, it's so I feel like we do see women in vulnerable states, and both of us have talked about how, you know, like the women that we encounter and that we help and talk with, like they are struggling and they struggle alone. So many women are struggling with whatever it is. You know, we are just kind of conditioned to just internalize it, to keep it to ourselves because we're taking care of our kids, we're taking care of parents, spouse, jobs, whatever it is. We don't have time to even confront these feelings. But what you and I know, when you don't confront those things, they will make you sick. They will come out in different ways. They'll come out in very unhealthy ways, in ways that you're not, you know, happy with or proud of. And so starting these conversations and just creating like a safe space for women to come and at least listen to us have these conversations, maybe then they'll feel more comfortable to have conversations. Or we want, you know, at some point we want you guys to like send us a message and we'll talk about a topic with, you know, for you or give you advice or whatever it is. But just to open up this space for women, to women feel safe. Like that word just keeps coming up for both of us. I feel like we've like used safe so many times because we don't feel safe in our own feelings a lot of times. And that has to change.
Or in our own skin.
Yeah. Yeah. And that has to change.
Yeah. And I think too, it's another layer of it that's so powerful for both of us is that we are mothers to daughters.
Yes.
Kristie has 3 daughters. I have 2 daughters. And
prayers for us.
Yeah. I mean, like, you know, you're literally like, you become a mother, scary. You become mother to a daughter and
super scary.
You're just like, what am I, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? How am I going to help protect them in this world?
Yeah. And we became mothers both so young.
Yeah.
And we didn't even know like ourselves when we became mothers, which I think you could, whatever age you're at, you could go through life and not know like your authentic true self, and, you know, bringing a daughter into the world and not really having like your own identity, I feel like it's very difficult. So
yeah. And so I think definitely a part of what our why is, not just in this and in this conversation, but what we do every single day is it's for them.
Oh yeah.
It's to create something different in the world for them. Yeah. And so that they can feel more safe and they can feel more empowered and they don't have to feel like they have to fit into some box, and that they can really get to the beauty of who they are so much faster than we did.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to go through something that keeps them away from their true self. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's living is growing, you know, living is growing and healing, and you have to have some friction there to be able to fully embrace your power and your highest self. And so for them, we know that they're going to go through those things. Yeah. We know that we all have, but if they can get there just a little bit faster.
Yeah.
And if it can be just a little less about everybody else and a little bit more about them along the way, and they saved some space for themselves throughout that, then that's a beautiful gift. I mean, that's better than, you know, anything else materialistically that we can give them. And we have held that back for ourselves, I think, for so long that we see how important it is now. Yeah. We see how important like what we needed versus what or who we needed to be for other people.
Yeah.
Is so important.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, like cutting out the noise and getting down to like the real talk and the real stuff and being open and vulnerable and authentic about that.
Without shame.
Yeah. The shame or the judgment, it feels so comfortable and it feels so right. And yeah, I think that moving through these conversations, it's something that will unravel in the way that it's meant to. And we trust that these conversations are going to just grow and expand, and that's all that we can want, because that's all that we want, is to be able to be of service to other people and other women that might not have that safety anywhere else.
Yeah. Because that was one of the things where, you know, going back to our conversation around the kitchen table and me trying to explore my vulnerability, you make me feel safe to be able to do that. Like, you bring that out in me. So it's like doing real talk had to be, I mean, it had to be like a us collaboration. Like, I wouldn't be able to do that without you. And I feel like women don't have that safe person, that safety like net or whatever. And so just being able to kind of give that to other women.
Yeah.
Or inspire them to find that.
Yeah. I love that. I'm not gonna cry on our first episode.
We can show emotions here. That is what it's for.
Yeah, I like that was so beautiful. And I feel the exact same way about you doing this and sharing this space, because you inspire me so much with what you do and how you show up in your business and with your children and in your life, and online. I mean, in online.
Yeah,
and
scary world.
It is like, it's so scary, and that insecurity for me always has lived in like never being good enough.
Oh yeah.
And I think so many of us struggle with that. But what you said about how important it is to offer that safety, and the fact that other women might not have that, and that us doing this together, the safety in that, and what that is creating. And so I want to show like such appreciation for the fact that like it has not been easy to get here.
No.
It really has. We haven't just like magically taken this easy path over the last 15 years. And for either one of us, and for us, our friendship has also taken growth and taken work.
Yeah.
And so the fact that we can show up here and sit here after all of these things and these phases that we've been through individually and together is just, I don't know, I'm just so grateful for it.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful for that. I mean, we have traveled through grief.
Yeah.
We've traveled through marriage. We've traveled through divorce. We've traveled through giving birth.
Yep.
And so even though you only being 32 and me only being 31, there's so much life experience.
Yeah, I was going to say, we've seen so much life
in such a short amount of time.
Very short amount of time.
Because so many of those things happened in 10 years.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
Yeah.
Like, they happened just in the last 10 years, and it's crazy to think about. And it's just crazy and wonderful that, like, we're sitting here.
I was going to say, kudos to us.
Yeah.
Not that this is going to be like a compliment only.
Back and forth. You're fabulous. I'm fabulous.
But
no,
yeah, like, kudos to us for becoming the people, the women, the human that we are now. Because, you know, hard shit can take you in a variety of directions. And it took us in a variety of directions. Like, we fell, we stumbled, like, we had to figure out how to get back up. But having the safety of each other, and allowing each other to grow at different times, because we did not grow at the same time.
No.
And it was like back and forth too. You know what I mean? Like, it was like me, then you, then
and in very different ways.
Oh yeah, very different ways.
Very different ways.
And just that it has led all of that has led us like to this couch.
Yeah, and I think too us in our mocktails. And so I think that there's like something to be said about the fact that it seems weird to sit here and compliment ourselves on that. Like, that it seems weird to sit here and say, like, to compliment ourselves on this friendship, the work we've done as people to get here, because we have always basically, you know, in ways been conditioned to
not feel good about ourselves or not compliment ourselves because that makes you full of yourself.
Yeah.
Or that makes you conceited, or that makes you, whatever label you want to throw on it. And so being able to sit here and also like recognize and celebrate our growth and celebrate ourselves is something that all women should have access to.
Yeah.
And they should give themselves permission for. Because if you don't celebrate the person that you are, and if you don't celebrate the growth and the changes and the things that you've had to overcome, what's it all for?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I think it's also important, like, in this space, to be able to recognize, like, hey, you know what? I am worthy, and I am loved, and I can just attain that from myself.
Yeah.
Because that is the most important place to receive it from. And then when I can show up in a space with another person or with other people via online, I mean, there are some negatives to online.
Yeah.
These are the beautiful things about it.
Yeah.
Is because then you get the opportunity to show up and like share that with other women, and share that with your daughters, and share that with your mother or your grandmother or whoever else that it may be. I got the opportunity just this last week to give my grandma like a compliment about the fact that when I remember like being a little kid, and she just always made me feel so special and so safe. And she was just like it was my favorite place to be, was with her. And funny, and we had like all of these things. I didn't go into as much depth, but I was thinking about that feeling, and because she'll send me cute little poems on Facebook all the time and stuff. And so I just responded to her, and I just like was like, you know what? Like I appreciate the fact that you were such a beautiful, safe space for me as a little girl. And I think that, a lot of times we don't allow ourselves to get vulnerable, even with the people that have known us our whole lives.
Yeah.
Or that have loved us our whole lives.
I love that.
Because, I don't know, it doesn't matter. It's still scary.
Yeah.
It's still scary.
It is.
And
that's really sweet that you like messaged her and told her that and gave her that compliment. I think that's so cute.
I know. She's
so awesome.
Hi, Grandma. Be like, oh, them girls.
I knew we had one more viewer.
She's out there. She's out there. She's probably going to cry when she knows that I talked about her.
No, that's really sweet. I love that. Yeah, that's really special. And just like, kind of like touching on those relationships with like your moms and your grandmas, like those are just special. And to like share that with her is so sweet.
Well, and because with the work and the healers that I've worked with, I've had many, many conversations or meditations or moments where I have felt like this deep healing within myself. And I've learned that it's not just about healing myself. It's healing the women of the past. The generations that have come before me and the generations that will come after me.
Yeah. It's that ripple effect.
And that we're all so connected. And that we're not as different as we may think we are when we're teenagers and we grow up and, we think we have all the answers and our moms know nothing.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mom. Sorry, Mom. Okay. Because there are things, because it's so powerful to remember that even the women that came before us, all of the women in our lives, we all have very similar struggles.
I was going to say, like, when you said that made me think, like, we really, truly do, unfortunately, go through the same things over and over.
Yeah.
The self-hate, like, the body image, the way we view ourselves, the way we think about our bodies, like, it, and our relationships with, like, other women, which, we kind of talked about before, that we will talk about, but it's kind of crazy to think that, truly, each generation goes through the same thing.
Yeah. These same internal.
There's different resources, like, the online world is very, very scary to have, like, all of the insecurities that we have, plus having social media and this, like, instant connection. But really, it's like it's the same root problem.
Yeah. And now, fortunately enough, we're able, especially, again, this is coming back to what our why is and why we're here, is now we have the opportunity to give voice to it. Mm-hmm. Now we have the opportunity to stand up and say, no, this is not okay. This is not acceptable. Yeah. We are not doing this anymore, or allowing this to be okay. And I think that we're very much in a turning tide with that. Yeah. Because I do think that there's still a lot of people, even though there's a lot of people who are voicing these insecurities and these vulnerabilities, there's also still a lot of people out there that are just too afraid to let people see what's underneath. Yeah. What's underneath. I get it. You know, and going on inside of them, because they don't want to be a problem, or they don't want to be deemed as too sensitive. Mm-hmm. They don't want to be, you know, looked at as that they have mental health issues, or whatever it is, whatever label they want to put on it. Guess what? We've all got issues. Yeah. It's just whether or not you want to let other people see them. Yeah. And so I think that there's so much beauty in the fact that we're now giving voice to all of these things that all of us have felt. That we all suffer through. And then hopefully it just gives more and more people permission to recognize it in themselves, express it to someone close to them, in a safe space, and to heal. Absolutely. So that we can leave this world a better place for the future generations. Yeah, for our daughters and nieces and all of it. And I think, and I don't know if we like said this, but I do want to point out, like when we talk about our journey and like how we got here and our healing journey, like we don't mean like we're healed and we're fine. Oh God, no. Like I want to be clear, like this is a journey. We might only be one step before you. I mean, it is a journey that will always, like a healing journey. And like when I tell my clients, like your health journey, it is something constant. Like it will always be there. And just learning to navigate. And I think once you start that inner work, you are able to handle life's curveballs so much easier. Oh yeah. You know, and that's what I like hope you take away. Like we're not like here like we're healed, we're good. We're healed, we're great. It's like we were, you know, we still wake up with insecurities. Like I talk about your mindset and positivity, and I can wake up in a very crappy mood. So it's like it's a journey, but just knowing that it's a journey, I think like relieves a little bit of pressure. Yeah, for sure. And you know, I think so much of, from my experience, there's so much emphasis on what healing looks like. Yeah. That it's just like, it's so different and it's never linear. Yeah. And you always have to be ready to embrace whatever is coming next and be able to surrender to whatever it is that you need to work through without resisting it so hard, because it's in the resistance that we wear ourselves down, and eventually, you know, it comes in. But we have to be able to love ourselves. And that's something that's so deep, and it's so powerful, and it seems so simple, but it's so complicated. Yeah. Especially when the world continually gives us reasons why we shouldn't. Yeah. Or why we should sacrifice who we are so that we fit in with what is deemed acceptable. Yeah. And what is deemed to be normal. And so I think that, like how you said, we are still on our journey. Yeah. Obviously, we are still a work in progress. Yeah, work in progress. I like that. Yeah, I mean, before this video, I was like, oh my gosh, maybe I need to change. You know, like I was like, second guessing my outfit, and in my mind, I was like, why are you second guessing your outfit? Like, you want to show up and be real and authentic. That's the whole point. But it's just a natural pattern for me to want to, you know, criticize myself. Yeah. And I think that happens for so many women and for so many people. And so that's part of one of the conversations that we want to have here. Yeah. With all of you. That'll be like a whole talk, is like self-criticism. Oh, like yeah. The like negative mindset, and for sure. And the journey of loving yourself, like falling in love with yourself, is the hardest. It's one of the hardest things I've ever done. It really is. And I like, I feel like I've talked a lot about self-love in the past, but I feel it more authentically true, like in the last maybe 6 months. And like, it goes back and forth. But one day I was just like, no, like I'm okay with myself.
Yeah.
And it's okay to say okay. Like sometimes you know what I mean? Like sometimes it's like, ooh, self-love, that seems scary. Like how do you, how do you do that? And I was just like, no, I'm okay with myself.
Yeah.
Have I ever, I hope that doesn't sound counterintuitive to what we're saying, but it's like that thought that I genuinely had out of, I forget what I was doing. I don't remember, but I was like, wait a second. That's a growth. Yeah. That's improvement, because I don't know that I've ever just genuinely had that thought of like, no, I'm okay with myself. I'm okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah. No, I think that's super powerful, because there's times where, I will catch myself on this negative spiral internally. And then I'm like, wait a second. I don't do this anymore.
I'm a badass.
I don't necessarily know if I want to forget on that far. But no, it's like, I'm like, wait a second. Like, I'm not doing this to myself anymore. And so I did this thing. I don't know if you noticed, but I put a picture of myself as a little girl on the refrigerator.
I didn't see that.
And so I put this picture of myself as a little girl up on the refrigerator. And because I have such an internal windstorm in my mind of negative talk and self-criticism, I had to like put that visual there so that when it gets really bad or dark or scary in my thoughts, I can look at her and be like, stop saying this shit to her.
I love that.
Like, stop saying this shit to her. And that has really helped me to be able to love this version of myself, is really going back and loving her.
I love that.
Yeah. And so it has definitely been a game changer. But it's also like, when you have those moments where you're like, I actually do love who I am.
Yeah.
Or when you tell someone or share someone a piece of your story, and I say it and I tell it, and I even if I'm like telling it in a joking way or in a, full of laughter in a story or whatever it is, that laughter and those jokes, they don't carry the shame that they used to.
Yeah.
Like, I used to use them as like a projection and to like hide my own shame and a shield. But now I say it in a way that I'm like, no, I like actually mean it. Yeah. Like, I actually mean it. That I love the fact that like all of this has been so messy.
Yeah.
Now, granted, you don't wish, like, you don't walk into life and wish for the messes. Yeah. But being able to love and appreciate them afterwards for what they brought into your life and what they gave you and the things that they taught you, that's a special kind of love for your story and your journey and who I am. Yeah. And so, yeah, loving the younger version of me and loving the things that have not been linear in my life have really allowed me to open up and love even the parts that felt shameful inside. Yeah.
It's interesting that you talked about that and had that picture, because I either had a dream or a daydream of me taking you through a meditation, which is not something I really actually am like skilled at or know how to do, but of talking to little Paige. Yeah. And like, because I feel like sometimes like for women, like there are barriers that they need healing. There is a moment in your childhood when that started, and like traveling back into that moment. Yeah. And not fixing it. I don't mean like fixing it, but like confronting it and giving it a different truth. Yeah. Like I had this dream of like me taking you through this meditation.
Oh my gosh. Well, I've done tons of those meditations, so maybe you were there with me.
I don't know, because I've never like, I've been through meditations by other, like I've not put somebody through a meditation. So it was strange. And I don't know if it was like a sleep dream or it was like a daydream. Yeah. I have no idea.
You're dreaming about
I do dream about you.
That's so sweet. I love that. Rudy, look out.
Never hear the end of this. It is our longest. This is our longest relationship.
Oh, yeah.
So
absolutely.
But yeah, when you said that, I was like, oh, yeah, I like that.
That is beautiful. I absolutely love that. And yeah, I think that it's so important. That piece, every piece of us deserves love.
Yeah.
And so loving ourselves, and that is like stepping into our wholeness and being able to embrace that and witness it and appreciate it. It's all the little pieces of the self-love puzzle.
Yeah. And empower women to do that as well.
Yeah.
Like there's not ever going to be a better time than now. You know, not when I do something, not when I achieve this, not when I go back to school, not for like the women I encounter, not when there's a certain number on the scale. No, it is now. Like now is the time to truly take a deep inventory inside and start looking inside and getting to know your authentic self and being like, wow,
yeah,
I am worthy.
Well, and looking yourself in the mirror, like being really honest with yourself and saying, like looking yourself in the mirror and saying, do I love who I am? And being able to answer that question.
Yeah.
Not that long ago for me, that answer was no. Like that answer was a very hard no.
Yeah.
And there were many, many reasons why I felt like why I didn't love myself. And so when we can get honest with ourselves, it allows us to get honest with other people. And I think that that's really important. So it starts with getting honest with yourself. And so asking yourself, do I love me? And do I give myself the time to love me?
Yeah.
And to figure out who me actually is.
Yeah. Which is difficult.
Yeah, it's so hard. And then, you know, taking that a step further and saying, do I give myself now the love that I would give my younger little self?
Yeah.
If they were sitting right here. And so, yeah, I think those two things, like, if you've never, like, explored the journey of self-love, if you have not taken an inventory of that within yourself, that's okay. That is perfectly okay because that's a really scary step to take. Some of us tiptoe into it. I dove head first into the shit. And yeah, I don't necessarily recommend that for everybody because it
rip off the band-aid.
Yeah, I just dove into the deep end.
Everybody's journey is different.
But yeah, it was a beautiful experience now that I have progressed through it. But I think that that's a beautiful place to start.
Yeah.
Asking the question, do I love myself? Do I give myself time to love myself? And do I give myself the love that I would give the little me?
Yeah.
That still lives inside of us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's important to like note that in the beginning, it is very, very uncomfortable.
Yes.
And it is super scary. It's not going to be like, you know, some self-affirmations and you're there. It is going to be like a progression that is back and forth. And it's going to be like, at some point, we have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And that's something that I've really been like transitioning into in the last like 6 months. Like doing things outside my comfort zone. Like doing hard things that I perceive to be hard. This was one of them.
Yeah, I was literally just thinking in my mind, like,
here I am.
This conversation, this isn't what scares me. It's like the posting of it and like the sharing it with the world.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like that's so perfect. Getting comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Yeah. And that's just been kind of like my mantra lately. And really, because as a society as a whole, we are so comfortable in our comfort zones. Yeah. But you cannot grow when you're in your comfort zone. Yeah. Like you really, really, truly, like stress creates growth. Pain, uncomfortable, like that creates the growth to healing, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I think it's so powerful to recognize. And I think that when we first start whatever journey we embark on, we want the instant gratification of feeling better.
Yeah. Don't get me started on it.
And so, yeah, again, instant gratification in all things in life. Well, you know, it's another conversation to have. But when we expect the instant gratification of like, well, I'm doing this work and I feel worse now than I did then.
Yeah.
There's going to be those moments. Like, there's going to be those moments where it's like, well, I feel terrible. What was I thinking? These chicks don't know what they're talking about.
Keep swimming.
Yeah, you just got to keep going. You got to keep swimming in those deep waters, and you've got to take breaks when you need breaks, and you have to be able to lean on your safe people when you need your safe people.
Like, ask for support.
And even if it's not necessarily from another person, if you believe in a higher power, if you believe in God or the universe or nature, Mother Earth, whatever your source is, your highest self, wherever that comes from for you, trusting that you're not alone and trusting that there are so many people out there that want to share space with you. Yeah. Because you are worthy and because you do have a special gift and a special message.
Absolutely. And you're brave for even like taking that initial step.
Yeah. You're brave for clicking on a video like this. You're brave for having an honest conversation, for buying a journal. Like, it can be as simple as buying a journal and having that conversation with yourself. Looking yourself in the eyes in the mirror. Yeah. It doesn't have to be huge and massive. It just has to be one little step forward.
Yeah, one little baby step. That's kind of, that's really what I like talk to with my clients, is because truly the big transformations, like the big progress, the big healing really, really comes from a lot of little things. Mm-hmm. Just a lot of little things, and they just add up to these big, beautiful things.
And again, I think it brings us full circle to what our why is here. Yeah. And what we're trying to create, what we are creating, is that this can just be one little baby step, listening to one thing or one conversation about the fact that it's okay to feel your feelings, and it's okay that it's hard, and it's okay that it's not picture perfect, you know.
Yeah, it's messy.
It's messy, and like no filters required. Yeah, like that's why we're doing this. That's why we're opening these doors of conversation and connection. Yeah, because that is the way that we unlock our fullest potential.
Yeah. And that's when like beautiful things happen in the world. Yeah. Like when women start doing that, when you start like stepping into your authentic self and then empowering other women, empowering your daughters, like that's like that ripple effect that happens that like changes things.
To make the world a better place, the only thing you have to do is make yourself better. To love yourself well and to do the work, do the internal work. That is what it requires to make the world a better place. You know, when people say like, oh, I wish for world peace. Well, you don't get world peace without inner peace. Yeah. I mean, like, you don't. You have to do it here. You can't point the fingers at everybody else. And you have to make sure that you honor yourself and you take the time to do that. And yeah, I think that...
No, I love that. That's beautiful. And kind of gave me goosebumps because when I was little, that's what I would write in my diary, and then my brother would make fun of me. He's not listening to this, so I'm not worried. But I would like, because I always just wanted to like help make a difference. I always wanted to change something, affect somebody's life, like literally, I remember like little me just like writing, I want to help change people's lives. I want to make a difference. Yeah. Like what you said, just the like baby steps and us like being here. I love that.
I know.
Thank you for saying that.
You're so welcome. It's just so full circle.
It is very full circle.
It's so full circle.
And I want to like bring up something really quickly before like we start closing out that you touched on earlier when you talked about like celebrating like celebrating your growth and celebrating. So as we talk about like you taking like baby steps or whatever, something I do with my clients, I like require them every week to send me weekly wins.
Yeah.
And it's like these like little like teeny tiny things. And that's what I want. Like I think we should do is like have people like comment like, what is like your win today?
Yeah, I love that.
Or just like and like super small. Like it can be literally I got out of like for my girls it's like I got out of bed when my alarm went off.
Yeah.
I wrote in my journal today. I said no to something I didn't want to actually do.
Yeah.
You know, like whatever it is that seems small.
Mm-hmm.
But just like write down these wins, like comment your wins, and you'll be like, we don't celebrate women. I think that's what you started. Like women don't celebrate ourselves, and like start celebrating those really like what you perceive to be small things.
Yeah.
So I want you to comment your wins, and we'll comment ours.
I absolutely love that. That's so beautiful. That's so beautiful. And yeah, I think that it's also important to address the fact that we obviously are just ordinary people. I mean, like we're beyond ordinary, but like we're just like ordinary people, women that have kids and have lives and have stress and have all of these things, and we're by no means medical professionals. But
yeah, disclaimer,
not a medical professional.
I have a liability form.
I pass out at the side of a paper cut, so you don't want me near you at all.
You do not.
But I just think it's because it's something that I think holds us back in little ways that
we're so ordinary.
That we feel so ordinary, but like this is so unique and extraordinary. Yes, I love that wordplay. But this is so extraordinary because of the fact that we're from a little teeny tiny town in the middle of Midwest Indiana, and sometimes it feels like, what do I have to offer?
Oh yeah.
And so even in that just like little moment, we have so much to offer. And so yeah, like I said, regardless of the fact of whether we are professionals or not, we are professionals in our own fields of what we do.
Yeah.
But we're just like you, and we are just women that are trying to help other women. And so we want you to feel safe to share with us, whether that is in the comments or privately.
Yeah.
Please reach out, and please do not be afraid to share and to get vulnerable. And
we are just everyday women, but just trying to like live a little better each day.
Yeah.
And like you said, like leave the world a better place and create a really beautiful future for our daughters.
And, learning along the way, because when you know better, you do better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maya Angelou.
I love that. I know. Follow Paige on
Our Healing Spaces on Instagram and Healing Spaces on Facebook.
Okay. And follow me, both Facebook and Instagram, at A Strong Soul Wellness. So
we did it.
We did it.
Cheers. Cheers. Thank you guys so much. If you made it through this entire video, whether you're watching, just listening, or you just click the like button, we don't care. We appreciate you. We love you. We cannot wait to see where this takes us and to continue these conversations. So please send us your messages, send us your wins, and any questions that you have or topics that you may want us to discuss.
Yeah.
We have like a whole list, but we are happy and flexible. So whatever we feel is right and authentic for us in that moment is really where we're going to allow it to lead us. We set the intention for this whole project without wanting to put pressure on ourselves. Yeah. We want this to be enjoyable. We want this to be fun. We want this to be full of safety and love for each other and for all of you and for ourselves. And so we don't want to commit to more than what we can give you. And so we are going to aim for 2 episodes, I guess,
Yeah.
a month, and allow that to ebb and flow as it's needed, because, we want this to stay a space of true, authentic joy.
Yeah.
And not overwhelm
And
either one of us. So,
also, if you enjoyed this, please send it to somebody else that you think might enjoy it.
yeah.